Hello, everyone. Welcome to 55 Questions with the Scout Guide Huntsville. Today, we are featuring Louisa DiLeone of Bloom Counseling Huntsville, and we are so excited to learn more about her and her brand. Louisa, before we jump into these 55 questions, please tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. Well, Dwaynia, thank you for having me, and thank you to the Scout Guide for having me. I'm a therapist. I have a counseling practice in 5 Points, and so I ask people questions for a living. I'm constantly asking questions, and so it's going to be interesting today to have that turned around on me. But I have a counseling practice where I specialize in working with high achievers. I work with a lot of athletes and performers and perfectionists and basically people who are out there really, who are very driven and kind of doing all the things. And those people actually need help too. And so that's who I really focus on helping.
Okay, I love that. I think that is such a unique and obviously very much needed specialty. So I love that that is the area in which you are seeing your patients.
Yes.
Okay. So we are ready. Are you ready, Louisa?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Question number 1. What's the significance of the word bloom to your brand?
So there are clearly a lot of similarities between gardening and therapy and the process of therapy. And so everything from planting the seed to watering the seed and creating the right environment and waiting for it to kind of pop up from the ground and then watching it bud, watching it bloom. I feel like the therapeutic process is very similar to that. I feel like I walk with people in each stage of that in their growth. And so I thought that was a very fitting name. I also love to garden and I love flowers. I have flowers everywhere in my decor. And if you were to open my closet, it's kind of embarrassing. Like I think every single item I own other than like jeans or blazers is a floral print. So it just feels like me, and it just felt like a good name for my business.
Okay, I love that. And now every time I see you, I'm going to study your outfit now.
Yes. Yes.
So speaking of blooms then and your love of flowers and gardening, what is your favorite flower?
Oh, so that's a very hard question because I have a lot of favorites. If I had to pick, I think it would probably be a hydrangea. I actually have, because I've counted, I have 29 hydrangea plants in my yard, and they're massive. They're huge now. So I just kept buying more because I just love having hydrangeas everywhere. But I also love lilacs and lily of the valley.
I hear you. I love hydrangeas too. They're beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, so aside from those flowers, what brings you joy?
So I really like old things. So of course I love to go antiquing, and I think that it's kind of like a hobby of mine, and I think it's really like the thrill of the hunt. Like I like going through a bunch of old things, and then when I find that one item that speaks to me, that brings me a lot of joy. And I think just knowing that it's been around forever and the fact that it's lasted means someone took care of it for a very long time. Like I find a lot of meaning in that. And so I try to have an antique, or at least something that's very old, in every room of my house and every room of my office. And so I just find a lot of joy in things that were crafted well and something that just kind of speaks to me in a pile of a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. You appreciate the good things.
I do.
Okay. What's your favorite season?
Well, this may surprise you. I love flowers so much, but my favorite season is winter. I love winter sports. I grew up in Connecticut, and I went to the University of Michigan. And so I am just used to kind of blizzard, whiteout conditions, and so I love the winter. So that's been very one of the difficult things about moving down south is just I don't get as much snow as I would like.
I imagine, because we are clearly well into January before we get any significantly cold weather.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so when you're having that, when we finally do get our cold weather for good, what is your preference, coffee or hot tea?
Um, you know, I like iced tea. I drink a lot of iced tea. I'm not a big coffee drinker. I'm not a big hot tea drinker. But you will always find me with a glass of iced tea.
Okay, very well. How long is a typical work day?
So for Bloom Counseling, I start my day at 10 o'clock. I see 3 clients in the morning. I take 1 hour lunch break, and then I see 3 in the afternoon. So I'm here for about 7 hours. I do have a second business that I opened up last year with my business partner. We have it's called Common Ground Co-work, and it's a co-working space for therapists in downtown Huntsville. And so right now, like whenever you have a new business, clearly, you put a lot of time into growing that business. And so I work at Bloom about 7 hours during the day, and then I work Common Ground at night and on the weekends.
Okay, so you have some very busy days.
I do.
What would you say is your favorite part of the day?
I am most productive and I come alive. My husband will kind of jokes around. He's like, oh, it's 9 or 10 o'clock. Like, what project are you going to get into? Because just 9 p.m., I am raring to go. I'm ready to like dig into something. I don't know why. I get my energy at night. And so my favorite time of day is like late in the day.
Okay. So what do you prefer then, active or lazy weekends?
Active for sure. You might be able to see a theme as I'm talking here, and you might be like, now I see why she works with the people that she works with. Because very much, that's something that I work on in myself is I try not to go all of the time, but then of course I put myself in situations where I'm constantly on the go. But no, I rather, even when it's rest, there is something called active rest. And so I tend to be more active on the weekends and on my time off.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So in your work, you probably give your fair share of advice to others, but what has been the greatest professional advice that you have received?
Basically to not try to appeal to everyone. I think there's this misconception that when you have a business, the more people you can appeal to, the more business you'll have. But I have actually found that to be, I think it's the opposite. I think when you're very specific about who you serve, like if you hear kind of the population that I work with, it seems like a very small or specific population. And you may think that it would be harder to get business, but that's actually not the truth, because when you're speaking so well to a certain group, a lot of them are going to want to frequent your business. And so I think that advice is just to basically be yourself. Don't try to appeal to everyone. If you do that, you will attract the people who are the best fit for you and your business.
Mm-hmm. I've gotten that same advice as well, and I have to say that it is absolutely true.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What is something you wish we all knew about counseling services?
That, I think a lot of people think that if you need a counselor, you just find someone who's accepting new clients or who takes your insurance, and then that's who you have to see. And I wish people understood that finding the right counselor is incredibly important. It will directly affect your outcome and how much it works, how much that process works for you. And so I think it's totally okay to go and see a couple of different counselors until you find the right fit. I don't know any counselors who would ever be offended by that. Or not the ones that are in my circle. We would never be offended by that. We want people to find the right fit. So I would say if you try out therapy and you're like, this just isn't for me, that didn't feel right, chances are you just need to find a different counselor. who's a better fit for you. And that's okay. And that happens all the time. And we actually encourage that.
Okay, that's very good advice. So if you had to start your business over today, what is one thing that you would do differently?
You know, I don't know if I just kind of lucked out, or I don't know that I would do much differently. I started my practice. I kind of went in with a group at first, and I was working in Decatur for a very long time. And so I knew I had to kind of learn the Huntsville market. So I went in with a group practice. I had my own practice, but I was working with a group of other therapists. And I just kind of watched a lot, and I learned a lot. And then I got my own space, and it really has just worked out perfectly for me. So I don't know that there's a whole lot I would change about that.
Okay, that's good. What do you do for self-care?
You know, this may not sound like what you would think of as traditional self-care, but to me it is. I know, I think because I work so hard a lot of the time, I understand the importance of taking time off of work. And so what I do is I look at my calendar kind of in quarters of the year, and I'm constantly like, I'll look like, what's this next quarter? Are there any holidays coming up? What's the schedule looking like? And I always make sure that I have some time off, kind of pre-booked, pre-scheduled in my schedule, so that I never go just months and months and months without any time off. And to me, that's self-care, because for a long time I didn't do that. And literally the only days I would take off were days where I had to be off, like a holiday or something. And that's been very beneficial for me to go through my calendar, pre-schedule those days, and I'm always happy when they show up, and it just feels really good. And I feel like I'm able to kind of stay consistent in the work that I do because I have those scheduled breaks.
Okay. Well, you mentioned that you would only take time off during the holidays. What is your favorite holiday?
Christmas. I love
Okay.
Christmas. I love to decorate. I turn my house into like a winter wonderland. I put up multiple trees. I have tinsel trail trees on the tinsel trail, and trees in the office, and I just love Christmas.
Okay. This one is really important. What's your least favorite holiday food?
I do not like Thanksgiving food. Like I'm just not a fan. And so, yeah, if I had to give up one kind of thing or holiday food, it would be Thanksgiving food. It just doesn't speak to me.
Okay. What can you tell us what you think your family loves the most about you?
I'm trying to think. I think they like just my attitude that, I don't know, I'm kind of fearless in the sense that if there's something that I want to do or that I want to achieve or go after, I really don't let anything stop me.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of always am thinking about why I can do things and not so much why I can't do things. I don't really think about the barriers too much. And I think they really admire that about me, that just kind of, I don't let things stop me from getting what I want or doing the things that I want to do.
Okay. So what would you say they like the least?
Ironically, I think they would probably, that's a double-edged sword, I think. I think it's great that I kind of pursue all of these different things, and I think they're very inspired by that. But I think what I sometimes have a hard time realizing is that when I'm constantly doing these things, like, they're kind of along for the ride, whether they want to be or not. And, so they may not feel like they get as much time with me, or they may feel like I'm always on the go or things like that. And so I think on one hand, while they love that energy and that spirit, I think they also sometimes are like, another business or another vacation, or like you're planning something else. And so, because I think that affects them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But you are doing those things that you love. So
Yes, yes.
who is the more fun parent, you or your husband?
So my husband and I, we don't have children. What are they calling it now? There's like a word for it. I think it's called like intentionally childless, which I don't know if I like that word, but or that saying. But we don't have kids, but we kind of do because we got a puppy this year. And she's adorable. She's a long-haired miniature dachshund. And he's fun in the sense where he will take her to the dog park and play with her and play fetch and all that. But I'm fun in the sense that she gets away with more with me. So I think we're fun in different ways for sure. And I think we're very good dog parents.
Okay, he's the fun dog parent, and you are the I'll spoil you.
Yes.
Dog. Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I found this to be really interesting, Louisa. You were a Division I athlete.
Yes.
What sport did you play?
I was on the rowing team. So, and a lot of people don't know what that is, but some people call it crew. But it is those long, skinny boats with the 8 oars. And it's an Olympic sport and everything like that. So I went to the University of Michigan for rowing. And the fun fact here is that I was actually a coxswain. And so what the coxswain does, it's the small person at the back of the boat, but the only person who's facing forward because the rowers are actually going backwards. And so basically, I did all the race calls. I would wear a little microphone that they can hear me, and I would just talk them through the race plan and keep them motivated and keep them going. And I would steer the boat through the course. So basically, I just kind of was, you're the person leading the boat.
Okay, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Didn't you row anymore at all?
I don't. So when I moved to Huntsville about 14 years ago, I kind of stopped that sport altogether. So I don't participate in that anymore. I stay up to date on everything, but I'm no longer in the boat.
Okay. So tell us, what is one thing on your bucket list?
So I have a goal. I want to visit every national park in the United States. And so there are 63 of them. Last summer, we went out west and did Zion and Bryce Canyon and the Grand Canyon. And so basically just every year, and it's going to take us a long time, but every year for the rest of our lives, essentially, my husband and I want to go and visit the national parks.
Okay, that's cool as well.
Yeah.
What is one of your pet peeves?
People who will close a drawer but leave the clothes hanging out, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like you close it, but like there's still clothes, and I don't understand that. Like I'm like, either leave it open or close it with no clothing.
That's a good one, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah, I don't like that.
Boy. Okay, what is your favorite vacation spot?
Oh, I just got back from my favorite vacation spot. I turned 40 and we went to the south of France. And we did Provence, we did the countryside, and then we drove the southern coast all the way to Italy and back. And it was just jaw-dropping, really. It was like life-changing for me. And so if I had to say my favorite vacation spot, like I'm going back, I will continue to go back forever. I fell in love with it. So definitely the south of France.
Okay, so here's a spin on that. If you could vacation with one celebrity, who would it be?
I don't know if she's considered a celebrity because she's royalty. I don't know if that's the same thing, but I would want to go with Kate Middleton or the Princess of Wales, because I think she just likes to do a lot of the things that I like to do. Like she loves to ski, And she seems to go on these, they're very private, but every once in a while you'll kind of see that she's on like some like very lavish vacation. And I think she would be a cool person to travel with.
Okay. So what tell us the one song that you play when you are trying to get yourself amped up?
Anything on Taylor Swift's Reputation album.
Okay.
And my favorite, I think it's like the first song on the album is called Ready for It. Like, are you ready for it? And that amps me up. But anything on anything on that album.
Okay, so we may already have an answer for this one then. Which concert, Taylor Swift or Beyonce?
Oh my gosh, Taylor Swift. Every time she's in Nashville, every tour, I'm in Nashville seeing her. And I was at her most recent concert for the Eras tour there. And so definitely Taylor Swift.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Okay, what's your morning routine?
Well, since I'm such a night owl, just sleep as late as I can. Basically just when I'll try to sleep as much as I can. And then so once I get up, like I am getting ready and I'm trying to head out the door.
Okay. What is the last book you read?
I'm currently reading a book called Radical Candor. So I don't read any fiction. I don't know why I just can't get into any fiction. I read a lot of self-help and I read a lot of books that are kind of psychological in nature. But I've been reading Radical Candor. It's for managers and basically leaders. And it just talks about the importance of having very honest, frequent communication with your staff or with the people that you're leading, and how the key word is honest, and having that just be a thing. And so that criticism or feedback is not something that's out of the ordinary. It's just something that is seen as a positive thing. And it goes both ways. So the manager is always asking their employees for feedback and for criticism.
Okay. Would you recommend the book?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. If people could only say one thing about you, Louisa, what would you want it to be? So I'm Italian, and there's an Italian saying, it's fuoco nelle vene. And what that means is fire in the veins. And I think I would just want people to know that, like, and I feel like that's so true to me. Like, I feel like I have fire in my veins where it's like, I want to be contributing. I want to be, using whatever talents that I have to help people. And so I'd want them to be able to see that passion and just say that I'm a very passionate person and I use that passion to help people. Okay. Are you an introvert or extrovert?
I would probably say introvert, and I think everyone else around me would probably say extrovert. Yeah.
I understand that. Okay. What is the toughest part of your job?
People think that therapists' job is to give advice, but actually we don't give any advice. And our main job is to sit with people, create space for people, and to help them come to their own conclusions. And so I think the hardest part of my job is that sometimes when someone comes into my office, a lot of times the answer is so clear to me. But I can't and I won't, and I understand why it's important to not give them that answer. They very much have to come to that on their own, but there are strategies that a therapist uses to help people come to their own conclusions.
Okay, I have done this before in my therapy sessions. Do people ever ask you, or do they ever say, why don't you just tell me what to do?
Oh people very much just want that answer.
Yeah.
But that's part of the thing that we're working on, is that, hey, the answer lies within you. No one else can tell you what's best for you.
Okay. Thank you for reiterating that once again.
Yes. Yeah, no problem.
What is something you wish people knew about you?
Just that I'm just like deeply connected to my heritage, and that is something that I feel like I grew up in Connecticut and my family's still up there, and the Italian culture there is very just prevalent. Like, it's just all around you in the foods, in the bakeries, it's everywhere, in the festivals. Everything's like Italian up there. And so I think when I moved down here, that was very difficult because that stuff just disappeared. And so I have worked really hard, because I've had to put in a lot of work just to keep that going in my own life. And so I don't know, I feel like that's something that not a lot of people know about me, about just like how important that is to me.
Okay. Tell us, when was the last time you felt embarrassed?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I did like an Instagram live with someone. It was like months ago, and I knew the connection was bad, but we were working with it and everything was fine. And then when I listened to the live, like after the fact, like after it was done and it got posted, I realized that because of the lag, it sounded like I was talking over the interviewer the whole time. And I was so embarrassed, but really on my end, when we were doing it, it seemed like it was okay. There was like a little bit of a lag, but it didn't seem that bad. So I was very embarrassed.
Yeah, I can understand that. I've seen those type of lags happen, and I always think to myself, when you're watching it back, that must be like devastating. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
So tell us how you decompress at the end of the day.
I live with my husband, and my mom lives, we call it the cottage. She lives in a cottage on our property. So she has her own little house. But most days, not every day, but several times a week, the three of us will sit down together for dinner. Right after I get home from work, we'll cook dinner. We'll sit down around the table. There's no phones. We talk about our days. That is something I look forward to. That's a huge way I decompress, is to just like get rid of electronics, be with my family, talk to them, look at them, cook with them. And I love it.
Okay. What's your favorite television show?
I really like Ted Lasso. Yeah, I like Ted Lasso.
Okay. Would you prefer to be indoors or out?
In the winter, I'd prefer to be outdoors, and in the summer, I'd prefer to be indoors.
Okay. If you could portray someone in a movie, who would it be?
Maybe Kate Middleton.
Okay. And who
Just because I really like her and I like her clothes, and then I'd get to wear like those similar styles.
Yeah. Okay. And so who would you have portray you?
Oh, have you ever seen Dead to Me? That show, Dead to Me. There's a woman, I think her name is like Linda Cardarelli or something like that. Cardarelli. And she's very like flowery, and she wears like these flower dresses in the show Dead to Me. And she was also on another favorite show of mine, which was Bloodline. And so it would be her, just because, again, I feel like we have a similar style. And yeah.
Okay. What's one stigma you would like to break surrounding mental health?
That people think that it's just the people who are too scared to leave their house, or people think that mental health or mental diagnoses look a certain way, and that's not true. people, we all have in our mental health, we all have that, we all have to look out for that. And people out there, everyone struggles with their mental health at some point or another. So it's our doctors, it's our lawyers, it's our business owners, it's everyone, it's our athletes, our professional athletes. So I would just want to break that stigma that it looks a certain way, because it doesn't. It looks like all of us.
Yeah. Okay. So Louisa, you told us that you are a night owl.
Yes.
Does that mean that you have to set an alarm for the morning?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How many times do you snooze?
Probably about 2.
Okay. That's
my
not
alarm.
bad.
Yeah. About 2. I set my alarm for about 7:40 and I have to be out of bed by 8.
Okay. If you could only eat one food for 30 days, what would that food be?
Pasta.
I think me too.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. If I change up the sauces, I would just eat pasta every day.
Tell us, what was your first job?
I worked at Hallmark. Yeah, it was a very sweet job. It was a great first job, and I got to I looked at a lot of grading cards, and yeah, it was fun.
Okay, so from that job to now, are you doing the work that you thought you would be doing?
No. I went to Michigan. I wanted to be a naval architect, is what I thought I was going to be. And I wanted to design ships. Clearly, I was on the rowing team. I was on the water every day of my life. And I thought I wanted to design boats. And then when I got to Michigan, I never struggled in high school. High school was very easy for me. And when I got to Michigan, the math was just like, I just couldn't do it. And my coach sat me down and he gave me a career aptitude test, and it said psychology. And he was like, Louisa, he's like, you can do anything you want to do. He's like, but if you go that route with the naval architecture, he's like, you're probably going to struggle every day for the rest of your life. He's like, and he's like, I see so many natural talents and gifts in you with people and with motivating people and with getting in their heads and finding out what makes them tick. And he was like, and then your test is saying the same thing. He's like, have you ever thought about psychology? And that's how I ended up doing this.
Okay, that's interesting. Was it difficult for you to make that mind shift from the one career path you thought you would be on to something else?
Yeah, I mean, it was so different from what I thought I wanted to do. But once I got into psychology, like it just came so easy to me. I just didn't struggle anymore. Just things got easier and things made more sense. And I was so passionate about it and interested in it. And so ironically, and I've always loved planes and I've always loved ships. When I was in high school, my whole room was full of airplanes. But ironically, I married an aerospace engineer who works for the Army and moved to Huntsville. And so in a way, like I get to do what I'm good at, but then I also am with someone who does these other things that I'm so interested in. So it worked out.
Yeah, it works. Okay. So what is your most used productivity tool?
The one that I recommend the most to people is the Eisenhower Matrix. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's really interesting if you look it up. It came from former President Eisenhower. And what he did was it was 4 quadrants, and it talks about things that are important and urgent, important and not urgent, urgent but not important, not important, not urgent. And he basically only focused on things that were urgent and important or just important. Everything else he either delegated or he was like, I'm not doing that. And apparently I don't know this for a fact, but they say that he was one of the most productive presidents.
Okay. I'll look into that.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Okay. What is your preference? A sweet snack or a salty snack?
Sweet.
Okay. Can you tell us about your fondest childhood memory?
Just sitting around the table every Sunday with my family. We would just sit there and talk for hours. And there was a Dunkin' Donuts on every corner where I grew up. And we would always get donuts and sit and talk for hours. And it was every Sunday. It was consistent for all the time.
Okay. For what do you want to be remembered?
Oh, just for helping people, just for making a difference and helping people have better lives.
Okay. What was the first task you delegated in your business?
I got a bookkeeper. I got a Sandy Edwards, and she's amazing. And now I don't have to think about keeping up with all of that. And it's great because I do everything else. And so I think it was really important for me to hand off some of the financial stuff. And she does such a great job.
Okay. What are some plans that you have for Bloom Counseling in 2024?
So I am an approved supervisor. I'm a supervising counselor. And so next year I am going to start taking on, I've been a supervisor for a long time, but I haven't really had the time to take on any supervisees, but next year I'm making that a priority. And so I'm going to start helping other counselors get their full license in Alabama.
Okay, that's a great thing, Louisa.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 2 questions left.
Okay.
The next one, question 54. What is the best part of being featured in the Scout Guide Huntsville?
Just how beautiful it is. I think a lot of people, they see pretty things and then that's about it for their thought process. But I kind of, so much goes into that. And that to me is like, I see the work that goes into it. I see the vision. I know most of the people who work on the Scout Guide, and I'm just so inspired by them. And to be a part of something like that is just means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm. It is a very beautiful publication.
Yes, so beautiful.
Okay, last question. If you make a phone call and no one answers, do you leave a voicemail or do you send a text?
If it's a business call, I will leave a voicemail. If it's a personal call, I will leave a text. Okay,
that works. Thank you so much, Louisa, for being here.
Thank you. This was fun.
Yes.
And it's been fun talking to you.
Mm-hmm. I learned so much. So the next time you see me, then I will probably have my own follow-up questions.
Ooh, okay, good. I'm ready for it.
Okay. So thank you. And thank you everyone for watching. And we will see you next time on another episode of 55 Questions with the Scout Guide Huntsville.